Every once in a while, I look in the mirror and I'm just like, I look just like my mom. And then if I look a little more closely and look around, I'm just like, yeah, well, I have my dad's eyebrows, I have my dad's ears, and maybe his mouth. Maybe I don't look so much like my mom, which isn't a bad thing, actually, because she was really pretty. But what happens when you look in the mirror and you think, I know one thing. I do not want to turn out to be like my parents. Perhaps you had parents who were relatively good. Like my mom, she was a good mom, but there are some traits about her that I really wouldn't want to take on. And when I used to do as a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I used to have a private practice and do marriage counseling, one of the most hurtful things that a spouse could say is that a woman would say her husband acted just like his dad. Or a man would say to his wife, you act just like your mother. And of course, they said this knowing that the other one really would just hate to know that they acted like this parent. But it really does bother you, doesn't it, when you notice those little things happening within yourself. Those behaviors. Maybe they're small, maybe they're big, and then it dawns on you, this is just like my dad, or this is just like my mom. And you don't want to be like them. So how do you do that? How can you make sure that you not turn out to be like your parents? If this is your goal, then I want to help you today in 3 different ways. First, I'm going to explain to you what it is that most people do wrong that in their efforts to avoid turning out to be like their parents. And then also I'm going to explain to you what it is you need to learn about so that you don't become like them. And then the one thing that you need to be doing to become a person who is different from your own parents. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I am the person behind arenewedlife.com. I'm an online emotions coach where I have a program called Mastering Emotions. I help women to rewire their brains to be able to break free from fear, anger, and shame so that they can love themselves and feel loved by others and have a deeper relationship with God. I hope you will stay to the end of this teaching because I do have a free training that I'm doing coming up soon, and I want you to be able to get in on that. So as we get started, let's first look at the one thing that you are probably doing wrong in this endeavor. And that is you are looking at where you don't want to go, because that will never work. But instead, what you want to do is look where you do want to go. Let me give you a couple examples of this that have nothing to do with character and being like your parents, but one is drawing a straight line. And I learned a long time ago that one of the tricks to being able to draw a straight line, for instance, if you have a pencil in your hand and you're writing on a piece of paper, then you don't look like exactly where you are and with your pencil, but instead you want to look up to that spot of where you want to go, and then you draw toward that spot. Now, the same thing goes for when you are going on a trip and you put the address into Google Maps, and what you are doing is you are looking toward the place that you want to go to. You are putting that address in and you are looking at that place and you are drawing that line to there, and you're looking at the paths that you have to go on in order to get to that location where you want to go. The same thing goes for your life and your character. And so instead of looking at saying, I don't want to be like my dad who yelled all the time and drank all the time and never worked, instead of looking at that, look at who you want to be. Now, here is a tip with that, because you probably think that you're already doing this, that you're looking at who you want to be. But if you haven't defined who you want to be, then you're not doing it. You're instead simply just saying, I don't want to be like my dad, or I don't want to be like my mom who was controlling. And so what tends to happen with people, if they haven't really defined where they want to go, then they tend to go toward the opposite end of the spectrum. So if your mom was very controlling, then in your efforts to not be controlling, you end up being very lax with your own children, and just having a, I don't care kind of an attitude, and being very loose with things. Or if your dad was very confrontational, argumentative, and loud, then as you have it in your mind, oh, I don't want to be that way, you go to the opposite end of the spectrum and you're just laid back all the time. People walk all over you. You never say anything about it because you don't want to cause a fight, and you want to be the peacekeeper. That doesn't work either. Going to the opposite end of the spectrum is in many ways just as unhealthy as that place that character trait that you don't want to have. So instead, you want to define what it is that you do want to look like. And for instance, if you want to create peace, well, being quiet all the time and never speaking up and never confronting people is not the way to do that, because that will cause animosity in your relationships. It will cause more trouble by not actually addressing what it is that's going on, and it causes you to ignore those inner signals that something isn't right within a relationship, and it keeps you from engaging with the other person to let them know what it is that you need within the relationship. Now, in order to become the person that you want to become, with the traits that are healthy and bring happiness and joy to life, then you will need to learn certain skills. One of those skills is healthy boundaries, because if there has been any type of dysfunction or chaos in your family growing up, then you also did not learn to have healthy boundaries, because unhealthy boundaries is one of the things that keeps dysfunction going within families. And then also, you will need to learn how to communicate, how to share with others what it is that you need from the relationship, share with them what you're experiencing emotionally within the relationship in a way that they can understand, that they can care for, that's not going to come across as attacking them. Then also you will need to learn self-care skills to respect your body, the level of energy that you have, the amount of rest that you need, the types of foods that you need to eat, and self-care with your emotions also, which leads to another major skill that you will need to learn, and that is recognizing and handling your emotions. Because when there has been dysfunction in your family, one of the things that happens is you stuff your emotions, or you learn to not pay attention to them and not to honor them. For instance, you will need to be able to learn to recognize the emotions of anxiety and depression as they are coming up within you, the fear of rejection, and also anger, and noticing when that's arising within you and what it's all about, what is causing those emotions within you. But then also how to learn how to move through those emotions, to decrease their intensity, and to be able to understand what it is that they are trying to tell you of what it is you're needing in this relationship or situation. And you may be asking, well, what do my emotions have to do with this? My concerns are for my behaviors and what I do. I don't want to do the things that my mom did or that my dad did. Well, your behaviors stem from your emotions and your beliefs. They are very strongly tied together. Your emotions are, the word emotion, if you break that down, has two main parts, the E and then the motion. And motion, you know what that means, that's movement, but the E signifies that it's moving outward. So those emotions come outward into our behaviors. Sometimes those behaviors are simply pulling away or shutting down. They may be ones that you consider aren't harmful, but shutting down in a relationship is harmful, is almost as harmful, and maybe and sometimes it's more harmful than attacking someone. But also to get a better understanding of your beliefs, because your beliefs play into your behaviors also. The beliefs about yourself, whether you are lovable, believing that you are bad, or that no one could ever care about you. Beliefs about others, if other people can care about you. Beliefs about them, if people are safe or not. And then also your beliefs about God. That all is going to play into your how you respond emotionally, and then that is going to come forth into your behaviors. The last point that I want to stress for you today is, if you want to succeed and not turning out to be like your parents, then you're going to have to train yourself to respond to your emotions differently. And probably, you're thinking, well, all right, my dad was angry all the time. And so therefore, I know that I don't want to get angry. I don't want my life to revolve around anger. And so therefore, you ignore your anger. And perhaps you don't even admit to being angry. You perhaps don't even recognize it. And other people will be saying to you, why are you angry? And you're thinking, I'm not angry, because you don't want to be a person who is ruled by anger. And while this is understandable, that you don't want to be ruled by anger, ignoring the anger or acting like it is not there does not control it. And it does not help you to be able to function differently than how your angry parent functioned. Because that is part of what they were doing also. They were ignoring their emotions instead of learning how to move through them and to control those emotions. And controlling doesn't mean acting like they're not there, stuffing them down, or even renaming them something else like frustration. But instead, you want to be able to slow down enough to notice these emotions coming on, what it is you're feeling, and then connect that to the beliefs that you have about yourself, about others, about God, about life itself, and the story that you tell that goes along with those emotions. From there, you also want to look at, all right, how does all this play together? The emotions that I'm feeling right now, this anger, this fear, this anxiety that I'm feeling, how does that play together with what I'm saying in my head? And then how does it lead into the behaviors that I have? Because the behaviors are, I know what you're trying to avoid, the behaviors of your parents. But you can't start there. You have to start with the emotions and those beliefs that play into and lead to the behaviors that you're trying to avoid. Now, I do have another video that's on stinking thinking, and that would be a good one for you to check out, because it will help you to understand what that story is that you tell yourself in your head, how your thinking goes when you get upset. It'd be a good guide for that, and also it has a free resource that goes with it that you can sign up for. But right now, I want to alert you that I am going to be doing a free online workshop that I would love for you to join me in. It's going to be 3 secrets to healing childhood trauma, and so I will leave a link for that below so you can get signed up right away and won't miss it. If you do miss it, get on my waiting list, because I do it periodically and you'll be able to catch it next time. If you found this helpful, please let me know. It's always so encouraging when I hear back from you. Give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so that you can receive more of these teachings when they come out. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.